Hi guys! So today I wanted to talk about something that I think is really important, and it's something that every parent faces, that is whether or not to put your child in daycare. So I know for a lot of people that's the only option because you need the income from your job. So you have to put your child in daycare. And basically what I want to talk about is how you can find the best daycare for your child, and also why you might reconsider putting your child in daycare if you can. So a couple of things I want to talk about were from this book, Pre-Parenting, that I just got done reading, and I'll put the link to the book review somewhere around here. But basically what this book did was a lot of research on children who went into daycare basically from 6 weeks to 3 years of age. And what they found was that, this is from 2000, so this was a 6-year study they did of daycare centers, and I believe this was just in the United States. And what they found was that only 12 to 14% of children they studied in daycares were in situations promoting learning. So 12% of children were even in an environment to promote learning. And I think that is so crazy because as we know, the most critical time period for a child to learn is from birth to age 3. So why are we just sticking our children in daycare centers where they just sit around and pretty much don't use their brain all day long? I see a huge problem with this. And also what the study found was that 35 to 40% of daycare children under the age of 3 were in a setting that was actually detrimental to their health, safety, and development. So not only are they not in a learning environment, they're in an environment that is detrimental to their health and learning. So I think it's just a huge issue that needs to be addressed in the United States, and I know there are some people working on getting daycares really looked at, and the people who are working in the daycares licensed, and it's just a huge mess, pretty much, is what I want to call it. And so what I want to encourage you to do, if you absolutely have to put your child in daycare, is do your research. Do your research in your city, find out which daycares have the best or highest ratings from other parents, and also make sure you do a daycare tour. Really kind of get a feel for how the children interact with the teachers, how the teachers interact with the children, and how the teachers interact with each other, because you can kind of get a sense of what's going on. Also, make sure the facility is obviously clean, there's no safety hazards whatsoever. I mean, that's just not an option. Safety is never an option. If they tell you they're going to fix something, walk out. Go find somewhere else. And I can tell you from experience, I've worked in, let's see, 5 different daycare centers. 5 or 6 different daycare centers. And what's kind of scary to me is that the parents have no idea what goes on when they're gone. And I say this because just from talking to parents and kind of getting a feel for what they think of the daycare center, it's pretty much totally opposite of what I would say about the daycare center after working in it. And I feel like the only way you're going to really get a true sense of the daycare facility is if you do pop-in visits. And your child doesn't have to be going there, just drop in. And I would say probably the best times would be maybe like 10 a.m. and then again at 3 p.m. because they're not napping, they're not eating snack, they're actually supposed to be learning. So I would say those times are pretty good times. Also, what you want to do is interview the teacher that your child's going to be with. You need to write down a list of questions that you want to ask them pertaining to their discipline methods, You know, what they do if a child does something that they don't like. If they do something serious, what's the punishment? And for toddlers and infants, there really shouldn't be a punishment. I mean, they're babies. So see if their values match up with what yours are. And if they do, great. But if not, walk away. There's always daycares around. Another great thing I would encourage you to find is a daycare center that has either webcams or at least cameras where if you're in the lobby, you can see what's going on in each room. And even if you don't use the webcams, I think they're great to just keep the teachers on their toes and really think about what they're doing at all times. So that can never be a bad thing, in my opinion. Another thing I tell you to look for is a daycare facility that you can get all of the background checks for every single teacher working there. Because just because your child may be with one teacher doesn't mean they're not with a different teacher later in the day. I know almost all the daycare centers that I worked at towards the end of the day, teachers would be leaving to go home and a sub would step in around 3 or 4 o'clock. So your your child could be with up to like 2 or 3 different teachers a day. And so you want to know every single person that's working in the daycare facility. They should be able to provide you with a background check, at least a criminal history. Make sure there's no felonies, especially pertaining to anything child abuse related. And misdemeanors, I mean, that's up to you, what you prefer, but I would say it should be a clean record, period. What else? Basically, also what this book was saying in the pre-parenting book was that if at all possible, you should try your hardest to stay at home with your child, at least the mother or the father. It doesn't just have to be the mother. And they're saying at least up to 3 years of age, and this is because even if your child is in like the most best daycare center like ever, children still learn better from their own parents. And it's just because they're connected differently. They have a bond with their parent. Not saying they can't bond with their daycare providers, but the bond with the parent is, undeniable. And what they found is that they can learn better from parents. So I highly encourage you to find some way that your child can stay home with you. Now, I'm not going to get into like nannies or in-home daycares. I'm solely talking about licensed daycare facilities. And I don't know if any of you guys saw this video or program Friday night, I believe it was on last Friday night, and it was on Dateline. It was the Hansen Files, where they did some pretty extensive research into different states' daycare facilities and how they were just finding these people running these daycares just had horrible backgrounds, and it was all right there in their background check. I mean, you can't hide that stuff. And they were licensed owners of daycare facilities. It was really scary. I sat there for like an hour just bawling because I felt so bad for these kids, and the parents, I mean, they either neglected to do the research or they just didn't care, apparently, who was watching their children. But I'm going to put the link to the Nightline or Dateline show down below so you guys can watch that. I highly encourage you to do that as well. And I just would encourage you to do your research, try to stay home, and let me know if you guys have any comments, questions, or opinions about this. I would love to hear what you guys think. And I will talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.